Let's take a look at basing one style on another style. When you create a new style, you can base that style on an existing style, and then all the formatting attributes of the base style will transfer over to the new style. The new style will inherit all of those. Subsequently, if you ever make changes to the base style as far as formatting, those changes will be reflected in the new style as well. Now you can override those changes. If the old style had a certain font color and in the new style I set up a different font color, that new different font color will override the old base style's font color. Now to work with this, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my style pane under the Styles group, Home tab. I'm going to come out, click the dialog launcher. And I'm also going to do the shortcut key Shift F1 to bring up the Reveal Formatting pane as well. The style set that I'm currently using is Word 2010 style set, which is the default for 2010, and you can see those styles out here as well. I don't have any of these styles currently named. If I just triple click to select, you can come out, you can see this is just based on the normal style, as is the others as well. You can also see that these guys are set up with just the basic default normal style settings out here. So we have basically some raw text. If you ever want to clear off a style completely, I could come out, triple click to select the whole document in this selection bar area here, and I could come up and click on Clear All, and that'll clear off any formatting that I have going on out here. I'm going to set up some paragraph formatting for my first paragraph, and I'm going to use some indents. I've called this paragraph My Indent just so we can keep track of what's what. I'm going to go ahead, although I don't have to do this, I'm going to go ahead and just triple click the paragraph so you can see what I'm working on. After I have this selected, I'm going to come up here to the indent tool and point at the indent tool right here. Now you want to make sure that you don't go too high up, because then you'll get the right margin. I want to point right at the right indent. I'm going to hold down my Alt key, and as I drag this, I can see my indent. I'm going to set this out until it's 1 inch on the right about there. Do the same thing. I'm going to click this bottom square piece here. Don't go up too high. You'll get in the margin if you get that double-headed arrow. You want to stay down here. I'm going to go ahead and hold down my Alt key and drag, and I'm going to set this up as 1 inch as well. Right there. And let go. And I've set my formatting for my first paragraph. And if I look off to the right in the Reveal Formatting pane, I can see that my indentations are set up left at 1 inch and right at 1 inch right here. Let's go ahead and name this style. I will come down here and I will click on my New Style button in the bottom of the style pane. And when I click on that, it brings up the Create New Style from Formatting. And with my default style name selected, I'll go ahead and give this a name. And I will just call this My Indent. You can see that this style is based on the normal style. I could leave it like that, but just for the sake of argument, I want to strip this thing down to its bare minimum while we're learning this. I'm just going to say No Style. And I'm going to go ahead down here and just click on OK, and now the style has been named, and I can see My Indent has been included up here at the top of the style pane. Also, My Indent is by default included up here in the styles group as well as the first entry. Next, I'll work on my second paragraph. I could just click in the middle and set this up. I'm going to use some paragraph formatting called alignment. Don't have to select it. You can just click in the middle of the paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and triple click a word, 1, 2, 3, to select the whole paragraph. You could also come out here and right click, double click out here to the left of the paragraph. When you see the right pointing arrow, you could double click. That also selects a paragraph. I'm just going to come out here, triple click a word, 1, 2, 3 to select the paragraph, just so you can see what I'm working on. I'm going to set the alignment. I want to have full justification. That means I want it flush left over here, and I don't want this to be jagged right. I want this flush on the right side as well. I can do this by coming up to the paragraph group under the Home tab and choosing this guy right here, which is Justify, and that'll flush both sides of this guy. Okay, now that I have this set up, I can see over on the right hand side under alignment it says Justified right here. With this set up, I'm going to give it a name just like before. I'm going to come down and choose my New Style button, and up at the top I'll give this a name. I'll call this My Align, and if I just leave it the way it is and click OK, you'll have the name and you'll be all set up. I'm going to come back after the fact, and this thing is based on normal. I'm going to base this on My Indent, but let's just click OK right now, and you can see that we now have this thing called My Indent over here. They even push it in the middle to show you that it's been indented here, and My Align is over here on the left. This is the one I just created. After the fact, I'm going to come in here with this thing selected. Oh, by the way, my indent and my align are both up here at the top. With this guy still selected, I'm going to come back up to my align, click the drop down arrow off to the right in the style pane here, and I'm going to modify this. Maybe I forgot a setting when I was creating it. I can click this drop down button and choose modify and come back and modify this thing. So I'm going to base this style not on normal but on my indent over here. So I'll click on my indent and I'll click OK, and it automatically picks up the formatting from the base style. So now I have two formats applied. I have both the justified will refresh on both sides, and I have the indent it picked up from my indent. One more time, I'm going to move down here to my space, and I'm going to triple click just so you can see it, and I'm going to come out here to my paragraph group under the home tab, and I'm going to click the dialog launcher here and bring up the paragraph formatting box. You could also right click the selection and choose paragraph, and it'll bring up the same box. Anyway, I'm going to set up the spacing so it doesn't have 10 points after. I'm going to set up the spacing. This is the spacing before or after. I'll leave that alone. I'm going to come up to the line spacing, and I'm going to choose exactly. Currently a single line of space is 12 points. I'm going to drop this down to about 10 point. You're going to really see these lines collapse on each other. I'll click OK, and the paragraph spacing between the lines of the paragraph collapse down on each other. I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to come out here, and on my styles pane I will come down out here and click on the new style button and give this a name. I'll just call this my space, and I'm going to base this style on my align. I'm not going to base it on my indent, which was the first one. I'm going to base it on the second one here. Just for example here, I'm going to come out and choose my align, this guy here. Don't forget, this guy has its style based on this guy. So my space is going to inherit everything from here, and since this guy inherited it from the first one, my space is going to inherit everything from the two paragraphs above. I'll go ahead and click OK, and I see that not only is it indented, but it's also flush on both sides, and I've included the spacing in the middle. And out here I can see I've got a new entry in my styles pane called my space, and I also see my space up here at the top as well. Next, I'll choose my last paragraph, which is my paragraph character. I'm going to triple click a word to select the paragraph, and I'm just going to come out here and I'm going to set this font coloring to red, and just like before, you come out here and you can see under the font reveal formatting, I can see that the font color is currently red, and I'm going to come out here, click on my new style dialog, and I'll give this guy a name, and I'll just call it my paragraph character here, and the style is based on normal as we would expect. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to set this up, base it on this guy right here, which is my space. And if I click OK, you can see that it inherits everything from above. It inherits the indent from this guy, and since this guy's based on this guy, that's what happens under my align. I've gone ahead and flushed both sides, and I see that here. My space, I go ahead and collapse the spacing, and I see this here as well. So because this guy inherits from this guy, and this guy inherits from this guy, and the red guy inherits from my space, it basically picks up, grandfathered in all the style formatting from these different paragraphs. Now, subsequently, if I come out here and I click in the middle of the top paragraph, and I change the indents by coming up here and pushing these in a little bit farther on each side, and I'll push it a little bit farther in on the left, you would expect that you would see these guys go ahead and inherit, and they do want to inherit this thing. But what I've done basically with this style, and this is a confusing point of using styles, is I've gone ahead and left this just the way it was with all the same formatting, and I've applied a little bit extra to it. What I'm getting at here is I haven't formally said to Word to go out to the my indent style here and tell it to inherit these new quick changes that I've made here. This is just a quick direct formatting change that I've made. I haven't actually saved it in the style. So I have to save it in the style first. I'll come out here and I will select my paragraph. And over here under my indent, I will click the drop down arrow and I will choose update my indent to match the selection. And this will save the changes to the style. And once I do this, the other styles will go ahead and follow in suit. Now, what happens if I delete one of my parent style paragraphs? For instance, if I come up to my indent, nothing happens if I delete the paragraph. It's the style we're worried about. Even if I were to delete this paragraph, I'll select the whole thing and press delete. My align is still out here, and I can use it over and over again. But if I were to come out here and actually delete the style my indent, and I could do this by coming out to the styles pane and pointing at my indent and then clicking the drop down arrow on the right and choosing delete my indent, and it'll warn me, and I say yes, this child paragraph and its child don't lose all kinds of indenting. It will keep the inherited formatting, so that's a good thing. If you take out a style, you don't have to worry about it rippling all the way through your document like this. It'll go ahead and keep those inherited formatting, and now those formats belong to this in sort of a native format, if you will. Now currently my para character style here is based on my space, and my space is based on my align. But I could come out here and click on my para character, and over here in the styles pane I could click the drop down arrow and I could choose modify to make a change, and instead of this being based on my space, I could base it on some other style like my align. I could just come out here and make that change. I'll just choose my align. You can already see what's happening down here in the sample. When I click OK, it ignores this line spacing stuff and then just basically takes on the characteristics of this guy, which is just the flush right and left. So subsequently, if I came out to this guy and I took the left indent and pulled it out, it would go ahead and follow this guy, but I have to come out to this guy first, and I have to say update my align to match selection, and then this guy will pick it up, and this guy will pick it up because it's based on this guy. Another handy tool that you can use is this setting down here at the bottom of the reveal formatting pane called distinguish style source, and this just shows you the name of the style, but it'll also give you some other interesting information. For instance, if I were to come out here and click in the middle of my space and change the alignment for this guy only, so I'll come up and instead of full justification, I'm going to override the parent above it, and I'm going to choose this guy here, which is align text right, and I can see that it aligns to the right, and it's a jagged left. Over here, because I turned on distinguish style source, I can see the direct formatting has right alignment. This means that this right alignment that I've applied is not part of the style. This is just some extra formatting that I applied on top of the style, but it's not included in the style yet. It hasn't been saved in the style. Also on the right hand side, I can see I have my space style, which is for this guy here, but because I've added this direct formatting, this little extra formatting that hasn't been saved, it's included another style name called my space plus whatever formatting I've applied. Now, as soon as I come out here and choose the original my space, and from the right I click the drop down arrow and choose update my space to match selection, the extra style here goes away. The direct formatting setting you no longer see because there's no more direct formatting, and it's because it's been applied to the original style. The subsequent child style, that this style is based on my space, picks up the setting as well. Also note that because I've applied my own alignment here to this paragraph, even though it's based on this guy, which has its alignment, it will no longer follow this paragraph. Because I've set my own setting and went my own way with this guy, any formatting that matches the parent, it will not pick up anymore. Because I said I wanted it to behave this way and not this way, it'll always follow this paragraph and not this guy. Now, we'll still follow other types of paragraph formatting that are not being used in any subsequent paragraphs. For instance, if I came out here to my align and clicked inside of it, and then I went up to my paragraph settings here, and I decided to go ahead and choose to put an outside border around this guy. Over here under direct formatting, I can see that I have borders as direct formatting. It hasn't been applied yet. It's just a little extra formatting. I can see that my align has this my align plus some extra out here. As soon as I come out here, I click the drop down arrow and choose my align, the original my align, and I choose update my align to match selection, then the direct formatting goes away here. I no longer see the my align over here with the plus sign, and the other subsequent paragraphs will go ahead and pick that up as well. Now, here's another error that you might run into. I have this as a parent style for this guy. This guy is a child. MySpace is a child of MyAlign, and my para character is a child of MySpace and a grandchild of MyAlign. Well, what were to happen if I were to come out here and try to make my para character a parent of the grandfather? That is, I'm going to base MyAlign, which is the grandfather of my para character, I want to base it on the grandchild. What will take place? I'm going to go ahead and click in the middle of this guy. I'm going to come up to my style tool, and I'm going to click the drop down arrow and choose modify. And when I come out here and do the modify, I see that currently my align is based on normal. It was based on my indent, but we deleted the my indent style, so it just defaulted to normal. I'm going to go ahead and choose to base this on my para character, and I automatically see an error and says you can't do this because you've got this circular problem here and it's not allowed. So if you see that error, that's what's going on here.